All right, hello and welcome everybody for another whiteboard lesson. We got a great topic for you today, but before I get started, do us a favor. If you like the educational content here from this channel, you like the whiteboards, you like the mutterings, you like the happy hours, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, either here or up here, wherever it may be. And also, if you like this video, feel free to share it and like it as well. Now, we're going to talk about the things that you never learn about trading until it's too late. Now, it's not that the people inside of the trading circles keep this a hidden secret, that it's top secret information and only for those who are inside of this special club. It's just there's certain things that you have to live through and experience to get a real good feel for, right? Just words won't always do it justice, and there's just some things you can't really explain. You have to live through it. But I'm still going to do my best to kind of explain to you a few things for those that are new to trading, before maybe you haven't started yet, or some of those you guys have been out there and you just got started trading, you're relatively new to trading, you're probably learning some of this stuff right now on the job, but we'll try to share it with you here and see if it can help you out. So the very first one that we're going to talk about is perfect. Just trying to be perfect. Now, I know a lot of you out there are perfectionists by nature. Obviously, I'm not one of those people. And you have to do everything perfect, and that's okay. Now, but what I mean by perfect is there isn't a perfect strategy. There's not a perfect way for you to do this trading. There's a right way and a wrong way, but there's not a perfect way for you to do everything. There's not a perfect system, as I said, a perfect indicator. There's not a perfect market. Now, you'll have perfect days. Sometimes things will work perfectly according to your plan. Some days the market will be perfect for you, but it's not an everyday scenario. Now, the reason I said this is I want to differentiate. There's nothing wrong with you putting a high standard on yourself, setting goals for yourself and being a perfectionist in the way you operate your business. But the market itself can't be perfect. There's too many variables. You've got high frequency traders, day traders, swing traders, momentum traders, option traders, hedge funds, institutions. You got people trading on multiple time frames, multiple different strategies. So there's too many variables for everything to be perfect. The reason I bring this up is because you feel there's going to be this point where you get a perfect system and a perfect indicator, and everything is going to be just fine from there. You'll make money, but you're always going to have to deal with some ups and downs and to go through some growing pains here and there because the market will change itself. So trying to be perfect with the market and trying to justify every move that the market makes will ultimately get you into more trouble. So try not, I don't want to say don't be perfect, but try not to put so much, don't put so much pressure on yourself, I should say. Now, the next one we're going to talk about here that you learn is the emotional adjustment that it takes to be a trader or even an investor. Now, I've kind of done some talk about this before in past whiteboards and other things, and I'll tell it to you like this. If you have a regular 9-to-5 job or a job that has a paycheck every week, whether you're a salaried employee or an hourly employee, if you go to work and you screw up and you make a mistake at work, you're probably just going to get bitched at. That's it. Now, if you do that in trading, you're going to have a whole different scenario play out. So there's an emotional adjustment that you have to deal with, which is living and dying by your strategy and living and dying by your consequences and seeing those consequences pay out on screen. So this is just kind of like if you were the 9-to-5 employee working for having a regular paycheck every week, it would be an adjustment going to a sales career. Where in a sales career, you're working on maybe, let's say, a straight commission sales career. Going without that weekly paycheck or not having a consistent paycheck or the possibility of not getting a paycheck at all, that's an emotional adjustment for people to make. Now, you'll probably make more money over the long term, but that's the sacrifice you have to make. One of the things that we deal with traders that's unique to what we do is that when we make a mistake or we do something wrong, we see it right there on screen, almost within minutes. We see the consequences of our actions, and not everybody has to deal with that. You know, years ago when I was in sales, a bad day just meant you run around and got a whole lot of appointments and you just didn't make a sale. That was it. You didn't get any commission, but you didn't see your money, and for a lot of your nest egg evaporate right in front of you over your decisions. So getting used to that emotional adjustment and getting used to what it takes to become a trader, even an investor, or just learn to deal with the market and learning not to be perfect and going through these things are big emotional adjustments that when you're starting out, you never really realize just how difficult that adjustment. For some people, it's a little bit easier, and for other people, it's going to be a lot more harder of a transition. So emotional adjustment. Now, another one here is you never learn either how much of an idiot the market is itself. And this kind of ties in what I was saying right here about being perfect, okay? The market's just an idiot. I mean, stocks go up and you say to yourself, there is no reason for that stock to go up. Stocks will go down. You're like, there's no reason for that stock to go down. Why is it going down? Or things will go up on some of the stupidest rumors and some of the stupidest stories, and things will go down the same way. The market won't make sense all of the time. And this is why, again, when I said very beginning about being perfect, those who try to make sense out of the market and you try to justify everything about the market, it's going to cause you a lot of trouble. That's going to be a hard adjustment for people because you feel that when you get into trading, that things should operate properly, that you should see common sense be some sort of technique that people like to use. You know, we just think that this should happen. And that's one of the interesting things about trading. One of the things that people have a difficult time adjusting to is dealing with it. You know, what's real is the now. What you're seeing is real in front of you. What you believe in your heart isn't always what translates to what's on the screen. And that's the separation that you're going to have to make, as well as the emotional adjustment. You're going to have to separate your biases and your belief from what's actually happening on screen. Because if you allow those two to overlap and you refuse to, you know, like as they say, trade what you see, not what you believe. If you trade what you believe, you're going to end up losing money. If you trade what you see, you'll ultimately end up profiting. I hope that kind of makes sense to some people. The next thing, they kind of tell you a little bit about this at the beginning, is loss. You hear all the gurus. Cut your losses early. I eat losses for breakfast. I don't. You know, I learned to love my losses. I don't. I freaking hate losses. I despise losses. I hate losses just as much now as I did 18 years ago. I cannot stand losses, and every single loss I have ever taken, whether it was $1 or 10,000, I hated every single one of them. I was going to say equally, but definitely not equally. But I hate them. Does that mean I don't take losses? No, I take them. That's part of the job. But you hear that everybody says you got to get used to loss, you got to take loss, and it sounds like a really easy system. Like, yep, okay, I got to take loss. That's part of the game. But it's not as easy as it sounds. This is a very difficult thing for most people to accept. And this is really one of the things that hinders us from making that jump from an amateur trader into a professional trader, is being able to take it. Now, you don't have to like it. I know a lot of people say that you think there's going to be some point in your career, and I'm sure there are some exceptions to the rule that feel like, yeah, I learned to live with it. I've learned to live with loss, but that doesn't mean I like it. I mean, as I said, I hate loss just as much. So it's just dealing with that. Again, like I said earlier, you are dealing with your consequences right away, and it's a very difficult thing for anybody to put in a lot of research and feel that this is the perfect, right? The perfect scenario. This is the perfect trade because I've rehearsed it and I've studied it and I've seen it 1,000 times, and then I take it and it turns out to be a loss. You know, that's a difficult thing to do because you put in all the work, you expect to be rewarded, and sometimes you're not. Again, it's the market variables. We all have to do that. It's something that we are aware of that we need to do. But again, dealing with that and on a day-to-day basis, I'm here to tell you it never gets easier. You'll make peace with it at some point, but it never gets easier. And then the last thing we're going to discuss here is the end game. Now, what I mean by end game is that you feel that when you start out that you're going to discover that perfect system. And once you discover that perfect system, it's going to be a set it and forget it. You know, because you're being inundated right now with all this garbage. People say, I get up, I work 30 minutes a day and I make $1,000 and I'm, you know, golfing, hanging out on the beach or whatever it might look. It doesn't work like that. I guarantee you it doesn't work like that. And if it does, there's like one person out of a trillion that it's working for. There isn't an end game. So there's not going to be a point where you can just set it and forget it. The market is constantly changing throughout life. So if you've had a career, if you're blessed enough to have something that I have, that goes on for almost 2 decades. Like I said before, I remember I started out trading when there was fractions. You know, I've seen thousands of different bubbles and things like rare earths and pharmaceutical names and bitcoins and stuff. Like, you never know what's going to happen over the course of your career. So there isn't that point where you're just going to reach something and say, I've made it, I'm done. You're always going to have to evolve as a trader. You're going to have to alter your strategy at certain times to blend in with the market. You're going to have to change it a few times here and there over the years, like I said, to gel with the market. You're going to have to work on those things, and you're constantly going to have to educate and evolve into a trader and just constantly get better and try to be better and try to work on yourself and work on your demons and just constantly conquer those things. So I hope some of this stuff kind of helped you out. Remember, no matter where you are, whether you're getting ready to start your trading career or you're currently a trader right now and kind of bouncing around back and forth from green, red, profit, and no profit, remember, trading is a journey. It's a marathon, and we've talked about that before too. You're going to learn things along the way, and you're going to learn some very valuable lessons, and some of those lessons are going to be really painful to you, and they're going to cripple you emotionally, and that's okay. We've all been through that. That's not something you're going to hear a lot of other traders say, but the reason I say that is because that's the reality of the business we're in. Yes, there is a great reward and a big payoff, but you're going to have to learn your lessons along the way. So remember, as you're learning these, there isn't a perfect market. You're going to have to make that emotional commitment, that emotional adjustment to just getting used to what's going on in your life and the variables of the market and how the market acts. The fact that the market can be irrational longer than you can remain solvent, that it can be ignorant, and it doesn't make sense every time, but it's beautiful in that way. That losses, just because you take them doesn't make you a bad person, and nobody ever gets used to taking losses. They always suck. They always hurt. I mean, losing is losing. Nobody likes to be wrong, period, even if you're playing just a simple game of checkers. And there will never be an end game to this. You will always have to continue to evolve, learn, and grow as a trader. So I hope some of this stuff made sense for you guys. As always, if you need help, you know where I'm at, thelincolnlist.com. Until the next whiteboard, take care. Thanks a lot.